So if it's not a capacity problem, what drives economic changes that influence the trucking industry? That's what we're talking tonight about. Enough so to either keep you in the game or chase you out of the game. Can you say round one fight? We've been observing a lot of changes here recently, and well, when it comes to the media and other trucking channels, what is it you can really make of these changes? Like mergers, last minute decisions, and major players making calls on the long game like there's still a problem when there isn't? Well, from the latest in alliances to the greatest in personalities trying to get up on YouTube and straighten up the ship, we do what we do here at Frontlines. We make sense of it all. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We welcome you in. We ask you to sit down and have a seat. Enjoy the show for what it's worth. It's going to be a hell of a ride tonight. We want to talk to you. Broadcasting from here inside the mobile Central Command, currently located in the middle of Indiana, having more fun than any news showcaster is allowed to have. Full-time trucker by day, journalist with a passion by night. Single-handedly pointing out to you that you and you alone can help make trucking great again. This show is unlike any other. We ask you to call in, give feedback, give back to us, and we will return in kind to you. It starts with you. It starts with a question. It ends with an answer. Questions create lessons. Lessons are what this show is all about. So I have but one question.
Shall we begin?
From the headquarters of the Truth in Broadcasting Network, introducing Truckin City Journal and the El Rushbo of Truckin News, Bossman.
Okay, even though that wasn't the right intro, you guys get the point. We are Frontlines, and we are not worried about technical problems because you know what? They happen all the time. $800. Start again, 860-785-3547. 860-785-3547. That is our phone number that gets you in touch with us here at the studio lines if you want to be part of the show. That is how we do things around here. I am the only show that I know of where that takes place as news is discussed. If you have ideas on other shows or topics you would like covered, send them to That's Truckin News at Outlook.com. That's Truckin News at Outlook.com. We will certainly do our best to bring it up, talk about it, and give you the attention it deserves. Welcome to what I call the best call-in show for truckers. It's run by me, hosting what I call the Truth in Broadcasting Network. Put in # truth in the comments and let us know you've subscribed and become part of the best thing for trucking news. I run this under the guise of the United States of Trucking. It's a new concept, kind of bringing everybody together and giving everybody the same edge to make trucking great again. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. I'm Boss Man. I'm your guide and president of the most needed movement in history. And around here, this movement is gaining traction. The front lines are our battlefield and the truth is our weapon. Here and now or on the replay, comment below. Let us know where you're talking to us from, where you're watching us from. We'd certainly like to know. We have a growing audience of people that tune in every week, and we invite you to be part of this movement today. Some of our usuals, possibly. We have Poet in the house. I have a new face going. Hey, what's up? It's VA Boy. Welcome to the show, my friend. I promise you we're going to talk about some serious issues tonight. You know, the internet is filled with a lot of parrots. Think about it. I use that term loosely. Many of these parrots chirping about the latest decision with Prime Trucking. YouTube is filled with it. Mainly a lot of prime truckers that are pretty darn disgruntled about this whole camera thing. I mean, the search bar, you could type in countless results. This one's quitting. That one's leaving. This one's mad. This one hates. You know what? Every company has a right and an expectation to do what's right for their customers. And I think a lot of people forget that. So in every move that they make and everything that they do, whether you are an independent contractor working under that company, or whether you are a customer being serviced by that company, you almost have to kind of keep that in the front of your mind, whilst putting all of the media blowback that comes from decisions like this in the back of your mind. So tonight I've got a blockbuster show for you lined up. We're going to talk about an issue that dives headfirst into these what I call a freight-sized controversy. I may have a special guest on that may just shed some light on this. I don't see him at the moment, so let's keep our fingers crossed. I would like to put rumors to bed and truth at the front of Frontlines. So what's really happening behind closed doors in the world of trucking? And if you've been paying attention to the chatter, there's been a lot of noise about prime trucking. And as I just mentioned, it's all about the cameras. Drivers are talking, some are fuming and saying this decision's pushing them out the door. Well, while others claim it's a savvy corporate insurance move. But now we've got something bigger, much bigger. Prime has reportedly struck up an alliance with another company to expand their freight market. This, according to a recent video published on Mother Trucker News.
There have been YouTubers coming out stating that Prime Inc. has bought Trans Am Trucking. I didn't want to believe that, so I reached out and I asked around, and the best thing that came up to date recently was a Trans Am driver sent to me this screenshot here. The screenshot basically says there's alignment of using their network. So mother truckers, tell me this much. When they say alliance, is that normal in the trucking industry? You know, the rumor report is that Prime Inc. bought Trans Am, but from this report right here, it just says that they're just sharing their network.
Could this be a simple business strategy? Could it be as simple as what you saw in the screenshot? Or as some of you have pointed out, is this a harbinger of things to come? Are we looking at the birth of another trucking giant? Or is this a slow creep of consolidation that may just very well threaten the independence of some drivers with each company? And let's not forget the comments rolling in. I scanned some of the comments on his video, and there are comments such as, "This is how Hirschbach swallowed JCT." And another commenter said, "Prime is losing drivers, and this is their Band-Aid solution." So, first of all, let's get to the obvious question here. Is such an alliance really what's going on here? Have we seen two companies decide, well, two heads are better than one? Or are these alliances just a smokescreen for something yet to come? Drivers, if you're watching this show and you work for Prime or Trans Am, give us a call on our studio line. 860-785-3547. Click on our StreamYard link, which is in our chat and in the description below. If you'd like to come on the show and kind of help alleviate the rumors from the truth, I'd certainly be grateful for you to do that. I have with me currently a panel of over 100 years, well over 150 years, actually. We're going to one by one and talk to them. But I want to hear from you in the audience. I want to know what you think, what matters to you. And if you have a question, certainly don't be afraid to ask the question. It was said once, and I put it in a recent video, the only stupid question is one not asked. So my question is going to start with this. Is this simply Prime's way of making up for the catastrophe that Prime caused? And do they hope that this is a way of making up for the lack of drivers? So let's tackle this on one by one as it comes up. Let's make sure we all have our part to play in here. Good evening, John. What say you on this?
How are you doing?
I'm great.
Am I
I'm
on
great.
mute? Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
I think there's a lot of different angles to look at this thing. Like, why would Prime waste their time buying a company that does all the same, basically the same contracts they have? How does it benefit Prime when, other than maybe, I guess Trans Am has lower pay for their drivers, but I don't see the strategic side of it. I think maybe they're just getting rid of a competitor. I don't know. There's a lot of different things that could go into this, if they even bought them. I mean, honestly, I have yet to see something officially said they bought them. It was just an alliance, right?
Well, and that was my thing. I think that's a fair point to make. All we know at this point is what was put out on Mother Trucker's channel, and that is one of the drivers of the opposing company, Trans Am, knows about an alliance. Now, it doesn't say anything about a purchase, doesn't say anything about, any cause for alarm. It just says that Prime is now working an alliance of sorts, and I see benefit to that. I really do.
I don't.
I do because, it helps out Trans Am drivers. I don't know. If you've worked at Trans Am in the audience, let us know. If there's any, limitation, this may kind of alleviate that. That may go in, and that's another direction we go in here just a moment, John. But that may alleviate some of that.
A little unknown fact that not many people know about me, but I worked for Trans Am for almost 2 years, many years ago.
Wasn't sure.
And
but okay.
Yeah. So, like, speaking from a perspective of, that, I can tell you their drivers, they have the same contracts. They have, the Tysons and the all the normal Reaper bigwig contracts. They have all the same ones. So, like I said, I don't understand the strategic side of it, other than maybe getting rid of a competitor. So,
right. Never know until you do it, and like I said, you never figure it out until you actually ask the question. So, be back with you here in a minute, John. Let me see if my computer will cooperate with me. What's the thought on your mind tonight, Thumper? I mean, what do you think about Prime? Do you think this is a move to make up to their drivers for the camera mishap, or do you think there's something else going on?
Could be something else going on. I mean, it's kind of no different than me going over to my buddy's company and hauling loads for him. That's just how owner operators work, and maybe they're trying to do a strategy like that. I mean, fight me on it, I guess. I mean, that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
If they're having issues for some reason, if they're having issues getting freight and they're teaming up with Trans Am to get the freight, like maybe they're having problems with dispatching, and maybe Trans Am is dispatching their trucks, or vice versa. It'd be no different than me going over, like I said, going over my buddy's um, company, and he dispatches my loads, I haul his product, and I get paid for it.
Right. Could be.
And by the way, you guys can find me on YouTube and TikTok, that MN Trucking Guy, and I got Bo here. He looks like he was taking a nap. So
yeah, we can't bother little Bo right there. He's
Yeah.
got a lot of hard work to do keeping you in line there. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, he slept all day, so I don't understand how he can sleep more. But
Yeah, to each their own. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. So, but no, that's my thoughts on it. I mean, there could be a problem somewhere where they're trying to one of the companies are having problems, and they're trying to help each other out.
Yeah.
Seems
to me, it seems to me on the face that's probably the most likely answer. But I'm going to attack this from a couple of different angles. So we'll be back with you here in just a moment on that one. What say you? You think this is a grumpy version of watch me, I can get past this being suave, or do you think there's something else at play?
Well, through the years, I've seen many, many companies that have been purchased out by another company that's either larger or better because another one is folded or is getting ready to fold. And I'm thinking, with what happened with Prime on them biting off more than they could chew with the camera situation and losing drivers, they're looking forward to bringing in another company that might be, folding their doors and taking them under. Or they may just be like Thumper was saying, they may be just needing a bailout or something, and Prime may be able to help them out for a while, and they just, negotiate terms. But either way it goes, I don't see that anybody's going to make more money off of this deal as far as the drivers go. I don't see any more of the drivers being happier, because somewhere there's going to be a fine line there where they're going to have to follow their contract rules and regulations. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm thinking if you've worked for Prime in the past and you have experience, certainly give us a shout out in the comments or call our studio line, which I have pictured below, 860-785-3547. We'd certainly like to figure it out, because as of right now, neither one of the two companies have been forthcoming with really that much information. So, having worked for larger companies, I mean, you kind of have a feel for it yourself. What do you think, Larry? Do you think there's a give and take, or do you think there's a hidden meaning behind it? What's your thoughts on this?
I believe there's going to be some give and take on it. Eventually, Brian will probably end up buying out Trans Am. It happens every time, all the time. I mean, I worked for Hornady Transportation. It's a flatbed company out of Alabama. They got bought out by two different companies in the same year.
Right.
One by Central Oregon Trucking and one by Floyd Brothers.
So you're of the opinion that this is basically the start of a process.
Mm-hmm. They're seeing what they can put together as far as, because 9% of Trans Am is lease purchase.
Right.
And probably I'd say good 80% of Prime is lease purchase as well. So they got to redo all those contracts to where.
Well, I would, I know a lower number of Prime drivers are company drivers, but I'm not sure of the numbers. So, just purely speculation on our part, guys.
Right.
But I see what you're referring to there. So, here's something I'm kind of wondering and thinking on here, and I'm going to bring everybody up on this one because I want some honest thoughts in terms of what everyone thinks. I mentioned limitations a short time ago, and I bring that up because one of the many videos that you play on YouTube. It's up on a number of channels. I can't specify one, but one of the things I know pissed off a number of drivers was their belief, and not being able to confirm, but their belief that Prime recently has capped out their mileage. So my thought is this yet another tactic? As we mentioned a minute ago, Larry, it goes a long way to saying, hey, we may change this, we may do that and become bigger as one, blah, blah. But think about it. If that's really that prevalent as a rumor and everybody's talking about having their mileage capped, and now all of a sudden somebody from another company shows this message that came up on Mother Trucker's video, I mean, that's almost like answering the question directly. You know, here's what's happening, and, you know, red flag. I mean, I, for one, will not work for a company that caps my mileage. I mean, if I'm capable of 3,000 miles, I want to drive that 3,000 miles, you know. But yet, if they're teaming up with Trans Am now, that would kind of almost say, no, look, we're trying to make more freight available to everyone. It's not just benefiting Trans Am, it's also going to benefit Prime too. So what do you guys think about that whole? Because now all of a sudden Prime's going to be looking to their drivers and saying, no, you can't have this argument. We're not capping you because we just opened up a whole new freight market for you. What do you guys think?
But they didn't really open a new freight market. Like I said, they haul under the same contracts. So the freight's available to both of them. Maybe there's more loads available, but there's also more drivers available.
You think? I mean,
well, yeah.
It might tighten up competition, but at the same time, you know, you can't tell me that every single Prime driver is dealing with a freight network that's 1-to-1 on their trucks. There's always going to be more loads waiting in the back than you have drivers. Always. Same thing with Trans Am. So if you've got two networks coming together with a capital load investment, let's say hypothetically 2-to-1, you know, you're going to have a benefit either way you look at it. I've got to make a slight change in programming here, guys. Just bear with me 1 second, because it appears that we have someone who may have a little bit of backstreet or basic information that hopefully will have a little bit different perspective on this entire discussion. So I would like to introduce into the panel tonight someone who needs no introduction, but you've already seen his face on the screen. Welcome to the show, Mother Trucker. I'm glad you could join us tonight.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, no, I had to take care of some things, but I want to jump on and respect you guys because you guys are the ones doing, you know, the real trucker news out here. Well, I'm just, you know, you guys are trucking and you're doing your thing, and so I just want to jump on and support. And I'm, you know, I apologize I couldn't jump on the last week, but I want to jump on for a few minutes just to show you guys some love and you know, let you guys know that you guys are doing a great job, you know.
Well, we certainly welcome your being here and welcome your perspective. If you have anything other than what I've shown, because of course you saw hopefully the B-roll clip I introduced a segment on. You know, my thought is, and my hope is with my entire show, to dispel the rumors from the truth. And I've watched for the longest time trucker after trucker that work on both sides, both Prime and Trans Am, just I mean unload on these companies, and I feel for them, I really do. So when opportunities come up like this, I like to jump on it and try to smooth out what the rumors from the truth is. Right. So what are your thoughts?
I hear you. So all I got from both sides is one is like that screenshot that you guys see where Trans Am is starting to, you know, work with Prime, and Prime is kind of helping them out. And then Prime drivers are also telling me that, yes, this is true. You know, as far as everything else, you know, it's hard to gauge. Sometimes there's just you know, we know that right now in the economy is a very hard time and people are just trying to do what they can to survive. Don't quote me on this, but there are a couple, you know, big lawsuits and things like that I've been hearing that, you know, Trans Am had to go through. And so I think they took a big financial hit. So from that, they're probably looking at some collaboration just to
Right.
keep their drivers going. You know what I mean? And I salute them
Right.
for that, because some people would say, yeah, Trans Am, this, that, not a great this, that company. But hey, if they're making strides to try to keep their drivers afloat and give them some miles any way possible, then I would say that is a positive thing. Now, for me, if I'm a Trans Am driver, I might look at that a little bit as, what's going on here? You know what I mean? So that's as far as I can say it. And I don't have any affiliation to both parties. I just have what drivers are willing to share to me, and that's just a story that I got from both sides so far. From about, to be honest, probably about 15 drivers on both sides. So I know that to at least be true, that they are working together in that way. That's all that that's all that there is. Now, like I heard, one of the panelists that was on, that is kind of how things kind of start with, like US Express and things like that. Back when I heard about them jumping up on board with Knight and Swift, it's kind of the same thing a little bit, but we can't say it until it happens. And I'm sure someone will send me an email when it does.
I'm sure. Yeah. Alex, do you have time? I want to bring up the rest of the panel and kind of have a quick word with you. I didn't want to tie you up if you were busy, but it's certainly.
No, bring them up. I got,
All right, certainly,
I got 10 minutes.
All right. Well, I appreciate you joining us, and everybody else, I'm sure, also equally does in the audience, as well as those with the panel. You may know Grumpy Old Trucker. He's sitting here to the lower left. I got down below Thumper and Bo as part of the thing there. World famous cattle hauler running the Midwest. Driving with John is to your right, and we have Larry the Trucker down the bottom. They're part of my usual casting crew. Let's all give Mother Trucker a good old-fashioned welcome, and certainly want to thank you for showing up tonight and certainly helping us out with the rumors. I think it was Larry earlier that brought up the the whole kind of way I opened the comment with, it's the way they what was it, Hirschbach jumped in, bought JCT Trucking, if I remember the comment correctly. He was pointing out, I think it was Boyd Trucking. Was that what you were pointing out earlier, Larry? So certainly give us some feedback on that if you want.
Oh, yeah. When I worked for Hornady Transport, which is a flatbed company out of Birmingham, it started the same way, where you could build off loads with that company and that company. And then finally they said, well, it's a full merge. So,
Yeah. One of our regular audience members, Chief Freight Hauler, says this may be more profitable for them to cap lease operators and post overflow on the broker side. I think he's referring to the comment I was talking about earlier with the cap on prime drivers, because I'm sure you're familiar, Alex, with the number of drivers on YouTube just talking away about the cap they felt was in place. They couldn't prove it, but a number of them talked about that cap. I can't imagine working for a company that does that, but maybe that was an answer to it. That's one of the thoughts that came to mind when I saw your video.
Yeah. No, I mean, the times are hard right now, right? And everybody's kind of doing everything that they can to keep afloat, right? And so it's just one of those things where I think traditionally everybody's just feeling it, And so right now, I mean, with like, a new president or new president jumping back, I almost think like perception is everything, right? Like when I saw on FreightWave saying that, the freight recession is over, I personally don't believe that. But what I do truly believe is that if the perception of a driver is that things are getting better, that means that they might not take the cheap freight that they thought the narrative was. And if every driver keeps on waiting for something that's valuable to them, that's worth it for them, then that's just going to rise and the rates will come back just off of perception of that alone, I believe,
Another panelist that's not with us tonight, I'm going to fairly mention because he just produced a video on his channel where he talked about that very concept. He is a reefer guy. His name is Fate Truck, and he's not on the panel with us tonight, but he usually is. And he is one savvy businessman, because the video that he just put up talks about the fact that he deadheaded a great distance. And it wasn't so much just the dollar per mile revenue that was, in the back of his mind with that. There were other things at play. Sometimes you have to give a little to get to a better lane. And I think that was one of the concepts he wanted to put on his video. And I think he did it very well. I may be kind of misexplaining it, but I've been faced with that a number of times. In fact, the load that I'm on right now, I had to deadhead 750 miles. Now, I gave that up because it's taken me back home for the holidays. But see, these are the give and takes. A lot of people spend more time complaining about and less time thinking through. And like you said, perception is a lot. I don't necessarily agree with that thought about a freight recession. What you got to say, John?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Hi, Alex. Pleasure having you on the show. Hey,
I appreciate it.
As for the rate recession and all of that stuff, and I live in Florida. Okay, so when you live in Florida, deadheading to a better load is a normal reality, even in a good freight market. So, I mean, and the whole idea of cheap freight, that's another thing that kind of, I was listening to you guys talk, it kind of caught my ear. Cheap freight for one person might not be cheap freight for somebody else. So that whole kind of makes me giggle, because, I operate my truck at, let's say, $1.75 a mile and make a profit. But the next guy might need $2.25. So his idea of cheap rate's different than mine. So, I don't know. That's my take on it. But going back to the Trans Am thing, I really do believe that they're buying them. It hasn't been announced, but it just appears that way. Honestly, I think it's just a move to get rid of a competitor, because.
Yeah, I agree with you, honestly. I mean, I'll honest, because I talk to a lot of these CEOs of trucking companies, and one thing that they all have in common is they're really big on not sharing their network. They would never share. Why would you ever want to share your network with a competitor or somebody on the outside? That just never makes sense, ever.
That's a thought. That's a thought I didn't think about until you just mentioned it. But that's a good point. As a CEO, what benefit? I mean, that you mentioned it. What benefit is Prime getting from this?
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, they're both privately owned, so they're in. Yeah, they're both privately owned, so their inside information is very inside. Like, it's not public information. So for them to share would be, there's only one reason, and that would be for them to buy them. So as somebody that used to work at Trans Am, I can tell you that definitely if they bought them, they bought all of their companies. They have a leasing company, they have the trucking side, they have the mechanic side. They have like 4 or 5 different companies under one umbrella. That would benefit Prime for sure.
Yep.
So
I think I triggered him. Fate's in the house. What say you, Fate?
Well, good evening, gentlemen. You did trigger me, and I pulled over, and I'm parked.
Oh, good for you.
No, I don't really concern myself with companies buying other companies. It doesn't. I mean, I'm sure it affects trucking as a whole in some way, shape, or form, but it's something I'm not part of. But I want to elaborate on what Alex just said about how he talks to CEOs of big trucking companies. They don't want to share many details and things like that. The truth is, even somebody like me that has customers with one truck, one trailer, I don't want to share my information with other people. You know what I mean? And through my channel, I've been fortunate enough to haul some subscriber freight that is very consistent for me. It took them quite a bit to share that information with me. You know what I mean? And the reality is, and I'm not trying to be rude here, or I'm not trying to be mean to people, but this is a cutthroat industry. I'm worried about one thing and one thing only: the success of my business. I really don't concern myself with everybody else's business, because that's not my business. Does that make sense?
Good point. Good point.
Like,
cheap freight haulers opining back in 2019. Most YouTubers were saying it was the worst freight market ever. Trump was president. Oh, them's fighting words now. We got a couple of Trump lovers on this panel. I ain't saying who though. Griff opining on what I said a minute ago about Deadhead out of Texas, 2 weeks in a row, total of 1,000 miles. But when I went home, got back out on a load instead of a seat trying to find a load. I get your point. Yeah. Deadhead sometimes is a good thing, but I mean, just depends on the company you work for and the freight market you're exposed to. I mean, right. I talk specifically because I've worked most of my experience comes from Landstar. You know, I was an owner operator, owned my own truck. You know, I wasn't, quote, the man. I didn't have my own MC number or any of that stuff, but I was close to an owner operator could be. Now, I kind of feel like a kindred spirit to Alex because I work for a bed bugging company, United Van Lines. Everybody knows. You know, so.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you guys bring up these rates and stuff because I had this thought process, and you guys definitely could say if I'm wrong or not because I definitely don't know everything, right? But this is my thoughts, right? And I don't want to blame the FMCSA and DOT and things like that, but I do want to blame them because think about this. Would you all agree that all of you care about your equipment and your business on this show right now?
Oh, 100%. Every day, yes.
And you are fighting for the same load that a guy has duct tape as an MC number and duct taping his lights. No, I'm being serious here, right? So so you think about that, like, you know what it costs you to run your load because of the maintenance and the respect that you have for your equipment and what it takes. But the guy that doesn't have respect for his equipment that should be put out of service is not put out of service. He has duct tape holding on his fairing, his light, everything possible. He has duct tape holding that on. And that same driver is fighting for the same load you are. And I do agree that, yes, some people might have a truck paid off, or some people might not have, you know, a Peterbilt 389, and it might not take up a lot of fuel. And those things are fine. But I truly think that if the DOT and the FMCSA actually did what they were supposed to do and put those trucks that should not be on the road out of service, then it would actually rise, you know, the professional driver level. And you know what rate you need, right? So that's kind of like a hot take that I think about myself. And what are your guys' thoughts about that?
Well, I would like to, I'll cite one of my mentors, DIY Sam. I know you're familiar with him, Alex. You know, he runs a very tight ship. All the maintenance is done. Everything's 100%, you know, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. Like, he runs a great ship. The thing is that's an expensive way to run when you're competing with, like he said, the guy that has duct tape on his door with his MC number on it. Like, how is a guy running a respectable business like that competing with people that cut every possible corner? Like, that is, I agree, a major problem. And if they would put them out of service and get them out of the industry, well, all of a sudden now you see them making more money, rates are going up across the industry. It helps the industry. So I agree 100%, Alex. That definitely needs to happen.
Yep. I don't know if everybody's on the same page in the audience, but do you mind if I replay the intro clip that I started this whole thing out? Because one of my usual panelists and now audience members wants some enlightenment on that. I realize usually about 30 minutes into the show, I kind of recap. So if you guys give me a second, let me play a little snippet of the video that you released the other day, Alex, if you're okay with that. All right, and then we'll be back in a second with that.
Out stating that Prime Inc. has bought Trans Am Trucking. I didn't want to believe that, so I reached out and I asked around, and the best thing that came up to date recently was a Trans Am driver sent to me this screenshot here. The screenshot basically says there's alignment of using their network. So, mother truckers, tell me this much. When they say alliance, is that normal in the trucking industry? You know, the rumor report is that Prime Inc. bought Trans Am, but from this report right here, it just says that they're just sharing their network.
So, I mean, in terms of, our discussion tonight, I took it a step further and more broadly the influences on trucking as a whole. But, it's fair to pick on because, I mean, a lot of people misunderstand exactly some of the decisions that come with running any company, whether it's a small one or a large one. And you mentioned one of them a minute ago, just the biggest problem guys like us have, and I say this generically because I'm a single fella, I have in my mind one truck, one business, and yet what you mentioned earlier to me seems so unfair. And I know I'm not alone in this opinion that people with basically no regard for the industry as a whole, with the same presence of mind you and I do, are actually given a pass, and they are allowed to go after the same kind of freight that you and I do. And I do think a lot has to be said for that. It is unfair, and it kind of does set a rather negative appearance of the industry as a whole. I mean, that's just my opinion on that. Larry, did you want to add something to it? I saw you pipe up there a second ago.
Not to mention, they're also taking it on pennies on the dollar less than what you would normally take that same load.
Well, I mean, you got two forces at play on that argument. I mean, you've got both the people that want to move the freight, but then you've also got the company that takes it. So you can't really blame that on one party. So everybody's all, well, oh, the rates are so the rates are low because that's what people are willing to take.
Well, that's the whole thing. They can afford to take a lower rate because they don't do the maintenance. They don't, they're not doing anything that a good guy is doing. So,
going with that, John.
Huh?
It's like you knew where I was going with that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump on your toes there. But no, yeah, that's. I think that's what he was trying to say. That's why. That's the detrimental part of the industry right there. Because if you're not doing all of those things, yeah, you can operate at a much lower cost, but not for long. And not safely.
Yeah. Chief Freight Holder, I don't think Trump is that miracle worker that you believe. I do think he's business-minded enough to help us in the industry make the transition that we need to make, both economically and I think in other structural ways. I personally think that. What'd you say, Faye?
Okay, I cannot believe I'm about to do this.
I triggered him. I like it when I do that.
You've triggered me on so many levels. It's insane. And I believe that the reason I'm part of this panel is I do bring maybe a different outlook on one side of the aisle. Let's say.
Your piece. Don't be kissing my butt. I mean, you're part of the panel because I like your viewpoints.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that. But here's I gotta kind of, it's not that I disagree with what you said, Asia Mai, or Mother Trucker. It's not that I disagree with you because that is a reality that we face in trucking. But the biggest problem that we have as owner operators, lease purchase drivers, things like that, this is my opinion after 25 years of experience in this industry, is we don't worry about the controllables. We're worried about all the outside forces, but we're not worried about what we can control in our business to create more revenue. You hit the nail on the head. I'm not out here driving a 389, getting 5 miles a gallon. I'm driving a fuel efficient truck because that's my number one cost. I'm in control of that. Yes. And I think too many of us focus our attention on things that we have no control over. Is there a problem in this industry? 100% there is. I can't fix it, right? I can't change it. It's not worth 5 minutes of my time to worry about it, because that 5 minutes of time is lost revenue, whether that's in this industry or another business I own or in my rental property. 5 minutes of wasted time a day is value to me.
It is.
Like,
it is.
You understand?
No,
what I'm
but
saying?
I also agree with you on that as far as like, the things that you can control, right? So this isn't a shot at every single truck driver out there, but maybe some will feel that way, right? Is, people say, hey, the broker's the one ripping me off, right? And then I go, I could see that. And I go, so how many direct customers do you have? And they say, well, I don't know how to get direct customers. I go, well, you call them and you keep on going and you keep on trying and you get a whole bunch of no's until maybe someone gives you a chance, right? And so sometimes I do agree with, there are a lot of people that complain that say, hey, we want broker transparency. We want these brokers gone. But then I ask them, what is your business model? And they go, well, I just go on DAT and truck stop and I just hit the load board and I window shop. That's all I do. I don't try to get my own customers. And I go, well, then guess what? I think we all know majority of the stuff on the load board, even if you do work with the broker, hey, they're usually giving it to their best carrier or driver before they even throw it on a load board, right? So, I mean, it's true. Control the things that you can control more or less than complaining about things that you're not trying to make better for your own business. Because, I mean, it is a free market.
That is.
But,
that is.
Yeah, what's going on here?
Let me show a kid.
Go
ahead.
I was going to let Thumper go because he's been.
Oh, go ahead, Thumper. Sorry.
No, I've been patiently sitting here. I got lots to say. Okay, so the load boards and brokers are there to get your foot in the door with your direct customer. That's exactly what they are. That is how I started out. I haul cattle and grain.
Yep.
Okay. Grain part, I have a dispatcher. It's a really good friend of mine. I pull his trailers. He deals with all that stuff. The cattle stuff, I have contracts. The most I've deadheaded is 800 miles in a day to go get a load. But the freight pays me enough where I could do that, where I'm doing the 7 days a week.
Right.
Yep. So and then you got that, and then the comments with Trump and the recession and everything else. Just a little thing here. It takes 2 years for a new president to fix what the other president before him has done before. So the recession wasn't on him; it was on the president from before. I just wanted to clarify that one.
Oh yeah,
so,
and I'm sure everybody here knows that. So yeah.
No, but you are right. You are right, though, Thumper, because I talked to like one of the CRO guys at Truck Stop Load Board. And he actually told me when I interviewed him, he said, use that load board to get your foot in and find your own customer through these freight brokers and do a better job. You know what I mean? But there are a lot of, I don't want to call it, see, I think people might get this wrong, but there are a lot of drivers that do not want to try to run it like a business and try to find their customers through load boards, through whatever way possible. But they just book their loads on the load board and then say, hey, man, these brokers are scamming us.
Yeah. Grumpy and I talked a while back about, just a simple fact that a lot of people start these businesses and they do it with just the thought that it's a paycheck. To them, it's factored wrong. Did you want to add something to that, Grumpy?
Well, I was going to add quickly, I'm company driver, but the company I work for currently, he had his own brokerage before he started adding trucks and made a fleet. We're a small fleet, about 130 some trucks. But, this guy gets these loads and he's been pretty good about keeping us pretty steady with his company. And I mean, the pay is not the best for a company driver. No, but the fact of it is this company works with you to where if you need home time, they're going to get it for you. It's come up. This company's dramatically changed quite a bit since I came back. They work with me. They understand me. I'm one of their best drivers they have, and I'm very happy to work for this company. I will not talk about who they are. I will say they are based out of Texas, and, they've treated me right, and I can't complain there. So, that's one of the things you've got to find. If you're going to be company, you're going to have to find somebody that's got that experience working with brokers and stuff. Otherwise,
making a statement.
it's just Aha! Look at that.
Right, making the statement.
All
yeah.
right.
We got an admirer. That's
I'll tell you guys this much. You know, a lot of people in my message all the time go, "Man, Alex, you don't even drive a truck anymore. You know, I don't need to listen to your ass. You don't know what the hell you're talking about." And you know what? It's true. I don't drive a truck anymore, and I am very appreciative that anyone actually watches the show that I produce.
Alex,
So, I'm thankful for you guys to just support me in any way
Hey,
possible. It
one
means the
thing
world
quick
me.
to add to that. Once a trucker, always a trucker. I don't care.
Thank
Well,
you.
and the thing is, you're still part of the trucking industry. You just cover it from a news point stand, and you actually know how to get to the point because you used to be a trucker.
I appreciate that.
You are very relatable to the people because you come through in that way. You're relatable because you know the lingo, you know the goals, you know the ambitions, and you talk to people. So you don't have to be in a truck just to get it. You talk to enough people.
I'll tell you guys this much. A lot of people invite me to go on a lot of stuff, but I was really excited to jump on your guys' panel because y'all are really the heart of this trucking, and you know what I mean. And so what I got to do, what I need to do on my side too, is I want to showcase all of you guys and maybe do a panel on mine so I can help grow your guys' social media up. And I know that's important too because that way you could get your voice out there more. And I would love to do that for you guys. You know what I mean? Because you guys are really out here bootstrapping and really making it happen. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'd be very receptive to anything you got to offer to, any of that. I'm not going to, tie up your time, but, it's if you can do anything to help spread the message that it's easy to make trucking great again, I'm on board with it because that's my chief message right there. Go ahead, Faye.
I wanted to say something based on what you just said. You got three names in my mind. You made a comment about how you get some comments about you shouldn't make videos. You're not in the truck anymore. Blah. I think that's BS because well, and here's why. And it's probably different than what anybody else thinks on this panel, right? And I'm being honest here because I'm a business guy. All you got to do is go to your channel. And if you search through your channel, you see how much hands you have in other things that you've actually publicly even talked about, right? That should be a goal for every business to grow and change and evolve into something bigger and better than what you might have started at. Does that make sense to the panel here? Like,
it makes perfect sense. Not to cut you off, Faye, but I started this entire channel on the back of another channel that was starting to gain momentum. And the whole theory was if I can find a way of giving back to the trucking industry, that's what started me on this channel. And that is where I'm coming from. I've had haters up in my comments talking about what I should do, the way I should look, what I should say, but I ignore every bit of that because in the back of my mind, I know exactly what I know I'm worth. I know exactly what benefits I'm going to receive. And I'm not talking about monetization. I'm not talking about fame. What I'm talking about is the very interaction going on between all 7 of us. There is a network going on here, a network that is helping each and every one of us. And the fact that there are many people in the audience watching this interaction, they're benefiting too. That, but I mean, in every sense, is the best anyone can ask. That's better than monetization, hands down.
I want to bring this up.
That's why I wanted to jump on the show and and stop what I'm doing for a little bit to be on your guys' show because I mean, let's be honest. I have a whole bunch of suit and tie guys that don't give a crap about truckers. Who knows if they do or not? But I give them the time to be on my show all the time. But I get a bunch of truckers that want to talk about some real issues and taking time after they're done driving their 11 hours for the day, and I don't have time to jump on for 10 to 15 minutes to spend some time with you guys, I mean, then I've lost my way. You know what I mean? And so I do got to get off here in a second, but what I want to do is I want to get you guys all. Go ahead and whoever does have, I know Grumpy, I know Boss Man, a couple of y'all have my phone number. Please share my number to the rest of the panel. And then what we'll do is, you know, I don't do a lot of lives, but it'd be great to have you guys on and we could talk, we could figure out some situations and shout out anything you want. You want to shout out your business, you sell some soap online, I don't care. Like, you know, I want to support you guys any way that I can.
I don't know if you can tell, but I use StreamYard for all of these live shows. The beauty of StreamYard is that I can always record on the back end any interviews, any conversations, any of that kind of stuff. So in terms of yourself and myself, we can always hook up here. I've got a dedicated room set aside for just that very purpose. So where I'm concerned, that's easy between you and me, Alex. I can set up links between, you know, all the other 6 panels.
And then we could, you know, we could run it on my channel so that you guys can get some, you know, more people knowing who you guys are. You know what I mean? I mean, I think it's great.
Awesome.
What's going on, Grumpy? I see you got your peace sign up.
I want to say this real quick, brother. I basically want to say this. I'm not bragging or anything, but I'd like to see kind of similar to the way the old Brotherhood of Trucking was. I know things have changed since over my 20-some years, but I would just say with this panel, it's happening a little at a time. We're getting people coming in. We're getting people's thoughts. And that's, you know, I began the Grumpy Old Trucker page years ago, actually as a group, and it's grown bit dramatically, over 100 and almost 150,000 now. And, you know, my YouTube's growing, which is wonderful. I just want to see some kind of a brotherhood going on again, where we all communicate like we used to back in the old days, where we sat down at a restaurant and talked, or we actually talked on a CB with one another. You know, I mean, it's slow, but I want to see it.
Hence the reason behind this very famous logo, and asking every single person who watches this show to subscribe. I am looking for that same brotherhood mentality that you're talking about, Frank, and it makes perfect sense to do.
Boss Man?
Go ahead, Faye.
I got to run because some of us got to drive a truck for a living.
There it is. Hey. I got to jump out too, guys. Hey, love you guys.
Hold on. I want to say thank you, Alex, for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
No problem, man. You guys are the ones working, man. I'm just hanging out.
Alex, we'll keep in touch, my friend. Thank you for stopping in and sharing some of your wisdom with us. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Peace.
I'll call you guys later, okay? I got to run.
Not a problem. Not a problem, man. Well, there you have it, folks. A wild discussion about the nuances of Prime Trucking making the decision to add Trans Am to their network. You know, I mean, we're not done yet. I mean, we got a few more things to hit on and think about when it comes to rumors in the media. I mean, think about it. This is not the first real big media rumor that's happened in history. We have it happen all the time. You know, I mean, first it was the cameras. Now it's the whole merging thing. What else comes to mind? John, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm back. I missed everything there. And I think Mother Trucker left.
Yeah, your signal's cutting in and out.
I think my signal just dropped again.
No, we can hear you. You just cut in and out. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you can hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I actually pulled over for a second so I could say hi. So I can try and listen to everything and say hi to Mother Trucker, but I think he already left. Yeah, he did already leave. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I dropped out because I pulled into a rest area and then I pulled over and I wanted to jump on screen for a second and just say hi to everybody. No, I do think they're just buying them and there's no other reason why they would do that. My opinion, it's just me. I don't know any inside stuff, but I do know that Midlife Trucker was telling me he found something online that made it sound more for sure, but I don't know anything about it. So, but That's all I want to say. So Mother Trucker, if you're watching out there, I appreciate you coming on. And Boss Man, I appreciate you having me on. Guys,
No problem.
all you guys are awesome. I
Yep.
think what makes this panel unique, and especially tonight, there's so many different aspects of trucking on this panel. It's not like we're all owner-operators, we're all company drivers, we're all cattle haulers. No, we're on every different side of trucking, which is awesome. So I appreciate everybody for coming on here too. So.
Oh, yeah. Yep. We come on here gladly twice a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays. Believe me, it's not a problem to give up an hour of my time. I keep driving, I keep pushing, and I'm going to keep broadcasting because this stuff is necessary for progress. As I open the show, questions are the necessary fuel to ignite progress. Anyway, Larry, any parting thoughts as we look to begin to wrap up the show? What say you, Larry?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I guarantee the merger will come in the beginning of January.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll announce it in January when they, like the driver down there said earlier. By January, this is a test run to see how well they can make it work.
Yep. Yeah. And Chief Freight Hauler, he's now living in Texas. He does not live in the Florida area anymore. Griff USMC says cheap brokers are getting loads at $4 a mile and keeping up to 50%. You know, they're all different. And, you know, I'm seeing also, and we could probably make a good discussion out of next week's live just talking about this. There's some investment in the background going on with some of these bigger brokerage houses. So just because a smaller brokerage decides to keep a larger percentage or a smaller percentage, don't let it sweat you. A lot of changes are coming, and if they're really not worth much, they ain't going to be around very long. So that's all I'm saying. Chief Freight Hauler says, Griff, I wish these brokers calling on my customers just lost a run to a brokerage that quoted 1,400 on a 900-mile run. See, that's just it. I mean, competition is just that. It's stiff these days, and it's going to take time. Just as Thumper said earlier, it's going to take time for the new administration to make the changes. You know, I got a video on my channel about Sean Duffy. If you haven't seen it, look it up. I give some very valid opinions there. Certainly tell me what yours are on that whole thing. Chief Freight Hauler says, but my point of the margin was a little $100 and you can find 10 grand a year with your own customers. If you know what you're doing, you can run a customer and brokers only when you need to. That to me sounds like the most sensible way to do it. But that's just me talking, having been out of the whole brokerage thing for over a year and a half. I don't know. Things may have changed, but I don't know. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on that. I want to thank once again Mother Trucker for taking time out of his day. Let's say your number.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it was hard to hear you. Yeah, thanks, Alex from Mother Trucker, for stopping in. Had an awesome time. Watched a few of your videos. I have personally, not all of them, but it was awesome meeting you guys. Pretty good discussion tonight. I think we had a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of sums it all up. I really don't know what to see. Wasn't expecting Mother Trucker to come, so I'm kind of lost for words a little bit here. But yeah, no, God bless everybody who in the trucks. Keeping everybody safe, and firefighters, EMT, armed forces. We don't do it just for us and our family. We do it for you guys.
Amen. Every time. You know, as I said earlier, we are here twice a week on Wednesday and Saturday. We are making this work for you guys. Check out at your leisure when you have the opportunity the fellas here that will be factored in. I have a blog channel. I have another channel. Check them out if you can. Driving with John, State Truckin', Larry the Trucker, Grumpy Old Trucker, Midlife. All of these guys offer you a perspective on trucking that is powerless to miss. You need to see it. While you guys are out there, remember, it's the trucks that make the deliveries, but it's you that make the difference. Until we cross paths again, a parting note, we will not be broadcasting the day before Thanksgiving, but we'll be back the Saturday after. Till then, keep it real, keep the faith, and by all means, keep it rolling.